Hello everyone. Yeah, so before we get to the main topic of this video, just want to remind everyone that this weekend, so as of the 25th to the 27th of October 2019, so if you're watching this afterwards, this is no longer is no longer up to date. But yeah, I'm sure you're aware of the passage of time. Sorry, no, I'm just being silly. We're going to be at London MCM, which is at the Excel Centre, which is in the Docklands area. So we're going to be there from the 25th to the 27th. We're going to be leaving early lunchtime on the 27th, so we're not going to be there all day on the Sunday. But if you can get there before, we would love to see you. Going to have various things on sale, which I'm still getting together. To say with stuff from various artists and cosplayers, etc., which I'm very much looking forward to sharing with you. Also, we're going to have my friend Gizzy, who is our sort of promotions person, and he is brilliant, and he'll be there, and it'll be nice to kind of be there and chat with him. And I'm looking forward to seeing lots of people. Like, I know Zeno, who is one of the people that backed us, is going to be there, and I know various others. So if you're someone that runs a comic, feel free to come and see us in the Comic Village. I'd love to have a chat with all of you and, tell us about what you're doing. If you're an artist, come and see us. Whoever's there, like I say, whether you're Norwich based, whether you're based somewhere else. Yeah, I'd love to see you, and all the people that I chat with online. It'd be great if we could meet in person. That'd be really good. So anyway, talking about chatting online, so last night we were doing the whole webcomic chat thing. So for those of you who are not aware, Webcomic chat do these question and answer sessions on a Sunday. I mean, UK time it's around about 7:30, but I think it varies in other places. And they talk about different topics regarding comics, regarding story, artwork, etc. Now, I don't always do it every week because I'm not an artist, and there are certain things that I can't answer because I don't have that particular skill set. But they did come up with a particular question which I answered for a bit, but even whilst I was answering it, I realised there was so much more we could talk about. So in effect, I thought rather than do a promo video like I usually do, although I've kind of got the promo bit out of the way now, is talk about this idea, the difference between sort of trope / convention. I'm sure there is a difference, but I'm not going to look that up now. And cliche. Now, the term cliche comes from French publishing, and in the days of printing with wooden blocks, you would have a block per letter, and a cliche would be a wooden block. But the thing is, with this particular wooden block, if they saw that the writer kept coming up with the same phrase or the same word, in order to avoid continually using up these blocks, there was just all right, let's make it easier, let's just put that block in there, and that block is the cliche, which is the origin of that word. And of course, we can all think of lots of cliches which I think have just become silly now. Like, for example, the villain that kind of gloats and tells the hero his entire plan. You think the villain's dead, but he's not. Or, the hero, they can get involved in this massive fist fight. They can get kicked, lots and punched and everything. But, if they have a little wound on the shoulder here and a woman's tending to them, it's ooh, owie. And it's they are a bit vulnerable as well. So, it's things like that. Whereas a convention or a trope is kind of more the things you associate with a genre. So, say, for example, a superhero film, you expect someone in a superhero costume. You expect that to happen at some point. So that, it is a convention, as I say, so the moment where they sort of don the suit. Now, the cliche, of course, would be how they get to that superhero point. So if, oh, this backstory is so tragic, and oh, isn't this sad? And I think one of the ones that I think has come up recently, and I think it should never be cheapened because it is a tragic part of the character story, but the whole Batman's parents dying, or Uncle Ben dying in the Spider-Man films. I mean, the weird thing was with the Spider-Man one was I think this particularly highlighted a problem with dealing with audience expectations. So before the Marvel MCU films, the big complaint with the Spider-Man films is, oh, why do you keep showing us Uncle Ben? Oh, we know he dies already. Stop talking about it. Now go to the MCU films, and they don't mention Uncle Ben. They move on, and everyone's like, oh, why aren't you talking about Uncle Ben? He's so important. And you're like, we can't win here. Like, maybe there is a sweet spot in the middle where you can kind of talk about it, but not talk about it. And that, I think, is an interesting question. Because, again, this is the problem, I think, with cliches / conventions. Because audience expectation, or what your reader expects, you have to somehow give people what they want, but then put a twist on it, but somehow you can't alienate them. And it's a very I think people don't always appreciate that is a difficult sweet spot to get in the middle. So somehow you've got to give people enough of what they want, a twist on what they want, and not alienate them. And the fact is, you're not going to do this for everyone. There will be... Yeah, see, this is the other thing I will say to people who write. There will always be people that don't like what you do. And that's fine. If, like, for example, my mum doesn't like, stuff that she personally finds creepy. So sci-fi stuff, a lot of comic stuff, that's not for her. But that's fine. That person... What you do doesn't particularly matter if it's not the thing that they like. Now, of course, a valid thing is, if someone does like superhero stuff, but you're not delivering what they want from it, then of course that's where we kind of can get into the bit more of a conversation here, because you've got to think, okay, does this person have a point? Now, for example, I wanted to talk about, because we did the reboot with the comic, so I wanted to give an example where, hands up, I've got it wrong, and this is why we had to change things. This is a slight spoiler for Reynard City Chronicles issue 1. Naturally, if you want to buy this, awesome, thank you very much. And also for the original webcomics, just a reminder, the original webcomics are still in the archive section of the website. They're still free. You're always going to be able to access them. It's just with Chronicles, because more work has kind of gone into it, and we want to put... get the best from it. It's why, we charge for it. And I think, the additional quality and what you get on top, it's great with that. So anyway, yeah. Plugging aside, keep going. Okay, so the issue we had was, in one story, so Vibes, in effect, sucker punches Guillermo. And it's like, yeah, you've got to be on your guard. And in retrospect, because strangely enough, I think this came about because someone did like a parody thing on DeviantArt, which to be fair was really funny. I think it is still out there. It was very cute. But it did kind of make me realise, like, I don't want her to be seen as a jerk. Now, again, going to the audience expectation thing, you don't want them to be perfect either. And it's such a hard sweet spot. Again, you want a character you can side with who doesn't do sort of jerky things. And so, again, it's that idea of a strong female character being someone who's physically tough. And the thing is, the point with Vibes' kind of arc in this story is she is flawed. She is a bit of a showboater. She's arrogant. But she's not a jerk. I think that's the crucial thing. Like, she wants to do the right thing. She does believe in it. So we slightly twisted that situation, because I like it as a visual. But then I kind of thought, when we rewrote Reynard City Chronicles, and I suddenly realised, how can we make this make sense? And then it kind of hit me. Pun not intended, but I'm going to own it. And then it kind of hit me that Guillermo's dad killed her parents. And that's a horrible thing. And she has to deal with that emotion. Now, of course, we talked about the cliches with the Uncle Ben, and Bruce Wayne things. Now imagine, like I say, that killer is right in front of them. In this instance, it's not the killer, but Vives was very young when it happened, and this is a person with psychic powers. I always kind of compare it to like having a load of radio stations in your head, and she goes nuts and just smacks him on the ground right in front of Sal, who of course has a moment of not realising this, and then it of course clocks that, oh crap, that will be why. And so this is how we decided to sort of switch the cliche around a bit. So it's not Vives proving she's tough, it's Vives acting out something very difficult that she's processing, and that's a very different thing. And also we make it clear that's not good. We do not consider that a healthy thing. Now you can also flip this round, because again we can flip things round. Oh, are we censoring ourselves? Are we being politically correct? No. Again, freely accepting that no one's going to like everything we do. We're not designing this by committee. I am trying to get more feedback on these stories. And then again, that's the other crucial thing as well with these things. Get feedback. Think about things from different perspectives. You don't necessarily have to agree with everything everyone says. You still need to do it for yourself, and you still need to do your story. But keep in mind different opinions and seek out different opinions. That is what I will say as well. And I think as well, that's the thing as well. You want people to be able to enjoy this. I mean, this is why I think, like, say, Pixar films are great. Because you can be very young, you can be very old, but you can all get something from those films, because there is warmth and humanity and character there that everyone can appreciate. And I think, don't get me wrong, I want hardcore comic fans, if they enjoy this as well, brilliant. But if we can have something that anyone can access and anyone can enjoy, that is the aim we've got to go for. So anyway, that is a little kind of an insight into these things about trying to kind of avoid cliches, conventions. I mean, the other tip I will say for this, I think we've mentioned it before, do research, go beyond, like, say for example, you like cartoons, don't just watch cartoons, watch films, read books, read a newspaper, add in personal experiences. Like I said, I don't want to go into detail too much, but there are things that I've seen that have kind of filtered into the work as I've done it, and has kind of informed things, and that comes from experience as well. So yeah, I think people kind of make the mistake of thinking if something is fantasy, so there's this whole thing of, and again, this one's a cliche, write what you know. And I think that is misunderstood sometimes, because I think if you can research something enough, if you can tap into it, what you know can equally be a magical fantasy land, but you apply grounding and you apply interest to it to make it feel real, so that people engage with these characters and kind of feel, they know what they go for. I mean, again, going back to Spider-Man, a great example is where Marvel was so clever with Spider-Man and how he first came out, is this wasn't just a character with superpowers, it was, this is a kid who's growing up and who's trying to sort out personal problems and has superpowers, and the superpowers don't solve everything. I think that I always like that in stories, because we use phrases like, oh, if I had a magic wand, or if I had these powers, and it's like, well, no, your problems wouldn't go away if you had those powers. It would add an extra layer of complication, and I like that, and I think stuff like that, if you could apply it, is clever. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be cliche, and I think this is the crucial thing. There are always going to be stories that are reminiscent of something else, because everyone has influences, everyone has stuff that they draw from, everyone has stuff that they love that filters into the things they do. So if it's reminiscent of something you like, well, that's fine. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, absolutely love it, but you can see the influences. You can see Indiana Jones, you can see Flash Gordon. I mean, obviously MCU tying into it as well, of course, and obviously original comics as well. You can see the influences that are there. You can see stock characters that have been in different things, but given a bit of a twist. So there is that kind of Dirty Dozen aspect to it as well. There is a bit of there was a bit of Wild Bunch in there, and but that's good. That's the thing. Having influences in and of itself is not a bad thing. Being reminiscent of a thing isn't a bad thing. What you have to try and do, and that's the tricky bit, is to create something that kind of builds on these things and kind of gives it the twist. Anyway, I think hopefully this will give you some ideas to think about this and to look at both when you're creating something and also when you're sort of asking for feedback and looking to get kind of feedback from. So don't be afraid to ask people those questions to then sort of consider how you adapt it based on the feedback, which again, it's still your own work, but it helps to kind of build on that advice and redraft as well, because again, I must admit I've had to learn that process as well, and let's be honest, have the ego kicked out of me a bit as well. Anyway, I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to say on this. I'm going to do the Patreon special video after this as well, because we're leaving on Thursday and I've got various things to sort out before the convention this week, so I think I might as well do that video now just to kind of get things sorted. And I say a big thank you to all our Patreon people. So Joe the English Otter is the latest one to join us, but as I say, we've got the special thanks link, and we're going to update that so his name's going to be on there at the end of the month. And if anyone else wants to join, there's still time, and we've talked about Patreon rewards before, but we'll include a link in the description. If you've got any questions, by all means comment below. But yeah, everyone that's supported us, it's been absolutely fantastic. And also, I do want to say a really big thank you to Nicholas and Sid for doing their work on issue 1, which looks phenomenal, and I really think deserves as much support as you can give, because those guys have worked so hard for it. Joe Draco Peterson, who unfortunately was not able to get issue 2 finished in time for MCM. We're trying to push as hard as we can because we've got a Christmas fair coming up in November, and I really hope we can get issue 2 done for that, because it's our best chance of kind of getting it out there. And then we've got Emily Bandicoot, who's working on issue 3, and just want to say thank you very much for coming back there, so I'll try and link to her video as well. But yeah, we've worked with all these brilliant artists, fantastic people who've crowdfunded and supported us, sponsors, guest people. So yeah, I'll try and remember to link as much as I can. And obviously we do the Follow Friday, we do Norfolk Hour, Norwich Hour, and I always try and shout out people as much as possible, because this project means a lot to me, and I realise we're coming up to 20 minutes on this, but yeah, hand on heart, like, I've been working on this. We recently worked it out. It was the 12th anniversary recently, and yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for the work people put in, that they make it happen. And I know it's hard, and I know it's not always easy, and everyone involved with this, they've got their own lives, they've got their own stuff to deal with. But yeah, like I say, I'm really grateful to all of you, and hand on heart, this means a lot to me. So yeah, if you're at London MCM, again, comment below if you're coming to MCM. Come and say hi, I'd love to have a chat. In the meantime, keep an eye out for updates, and we'll see how it goes. Much love. All right.